Hi, everyone. So we're back with another interview. We're here with Chris, who won the sealed, I guess sealed or draft. I guess it's both, right?
A bit
So,
of both.
yeah. So he piloted a sorcerer deck for both.
Hmm.
Awesome. And we're gonna kind of discuss both, and we'll see how this goes. I've never done a interview for a sealed or draft, so again, we're gonna just kind of figure this out as we go. But how are you
I'm
doing,
I'm
man?
down for exploring as we go. This is fun.
Nice. How are you doing?
Pretty good this evening. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. So let's just kind of jump right into it. We have your Midland Mayhem Sunday sealed pool here. So this is going to be a little different than what people are used to, but we have a gigantic sideboard because I'm assuming those are just all the cards
Oh
that you
yeah, that
did
was just
not end up in
yeah,
the deck.
exactly. It was
Okay.
all the extra stuff I didn't end up playing, but obviously that was opened.
Gotcha.
Um, it's worth seeing though, just to see like
Hmm.
what randomness can show up and things that just didn't make the cut overall.
Yeah. So we'll kind of talk about. So what were the stipulations? I know that some people allow the beta avatars to be able to be accessed for everyone, or was it just the sorcerer?
Um, yeah, it was any that you opened, obviously,
Okay,
but yes, all four of the beta precon avatars were available. And
okay,
then of course sorcerer as the default.
gotcha.
Um, and I mean it's hard to beat out sorcerer, especially in the limited environment.
Right.
But I mean there were a couple of times I was contemplating one or two of the other ones, but yeah, it's just with ended up going three color sorcerer was just the way to go.
Gotcha. So you went Earth, Air, Fire, which,
Hmm.
funny enough, the only time I've played Sealed, I did the exact same. So did you just go for the 12 sites? Did you just go what would be four of each?
I think it
That's
ended up
fair.
being, I think I went five deserts,
Okay.
three villages, and four towers. Just kind of how
Yeah.
my color
Gotcha.
spread ended up being. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So with that, we'll kind of jump into the sealed. You got two summoning spheres in your.
I know it's really good. Yeah. Plus the type of minions I ended up with. It's just having those spheres. Yeah, there were a couple times it was
Yeah.
it made it a little unfair feeling, but I mean it's what I opened, so there we
Yeah, there
go.
you go. He's not cheating here. And then Iron Shackles just kind of to disable some things, right? Some
Yeah.
pesky things.
The as you if you as you look through the list, you'll see a lot of the removal I have was a lot of the direct damage stuff. We look good for smaller minions, but like they're not killing Amazon warriors, uh, and stuff like
Gotcha.
that. So the Iron
Yeah.
Shackles were really good for that.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it was just mostly for the beefier minions, locking them down. They did a lot of work for me
Right.
that day.
That's good. Let's see here. You got a Raldomadred, Snow Leopard, Boss Troll, Lancerbear, Palbury, Violimp, Apprentice Wizard, Plume Pegasus, Root Spider, Hillick Basilisk, Sandworm. From my experience, I'm assuming the Hillick Basilisk and the Root Spider did some work.
Oh yeah, yeah. Between the basilisk, the spider, and the shackles, like I just
Yeah.
kind of kept things out of the way by disabling them. Yeah, it was
Nice.
it was a lot of stuff on the board. Actually, speaking of removal, I'd like to touch real quick on mortality. That
Yeah.
thing is so good and limited.
Yeah.
I killed Amazon warriors with one. I killed a Dalcine phalanx with one.
Nice.
Um, I even killed a land surveyor with one, so I could pick up a spear of destiny and throw it.
Oh,
Like,
someone had a Spirit of Destiny and threw it.
yeah,
So you
yeah.
threw it back? Nice.
Yeah. So that removal spell is really good and limited, and people should definitely not set that card to the side.
Yeah, one of the cards that I realized was really good because of the sites that were are available to us and sealed. Um, Rain of Arrows.
Oh yeah, because you can
Yeah,
like
they
double up some
right.
damage with deserts and stuff.
Yeah, or just even the
wipe out foot soldiers,
with the foot soldiers, like when they play like their border militia, and you're like rain of arrows.
right? I mean, if I didn't have so much burn in my pool, I probably would have played the Rain of Arrows because yeah,
Did you
you're
have one?
absolutely right.
Yeah, you did. You had one that was available to you. Okay, so I'm assuming that the site that from your I don't see a lot of people playing a sealed with water. Is it
Right.
just because it's just never really there? You need the floods. You need
Yeah,
other
it's.
things.
I feel like you have to have a certain suite of cards,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean you're just kind of rolling the dice with sealed, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, it's definitely more like splashable, pun intended.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, because there were a couple people that were playing just kind of water for support as like a third color, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, as far as sealed, there definitely wasn't any mono watercolor decks there. I mean, somebody went mono water during the draft.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think I saw anybody playing mono water for sealed. It's hard to
Mm-hmm.
get that many cards um, to play that much water
Right.
in a sealed pool. Like even looking at the stuff that I pulled, like I don't know, I had maybe 3 or 4 really playable water cards without having to worry about like a large body of water. So I definitely wasn't looking in that direction.
Yeah. I think the only thing I see that's really of note in the water is sea serpent. Really? Like you didn't get any of the turtles.
Right. Yeah. Sea serpent is like one big beater.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Polar
polar bears
bears.
can be good.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
bullfrog can be pretty solid as long as they just don't have a answer removal in
Mm-hmm.
response right away. So yeah, my water stuff in sealed was not all that great, so I kind of went to the side immediately.
Right. With with this, it looks like you were just kind of doing good value with like
Oh yeah,
Raldomidred, Snow Leopards, Boss Trolls. It's awesome you got two. And then two Violence, that's really good. So how did it feel, the sealed experience, and how did it obviously, you top eighted and then you won the tournament, but
right.
how was the whole experience overall when it came to like were you did it feel clunky or did it feel kind of okay, I know what I'm doing. I wish I didn't have to do as many. Actually, how many cards did you have for your main deck? You had
I think I played like
two,
around
four.
29 or 30,
Okay,
so a little over the minimum.
a little over.
Yeah, I mean, you get to a point where it's like, I don't know or I don't want to cut anything, but then with sorcery, it's
Right.
like I'll just play them all. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my constructed decks now, I'm like, man, 43, 44 cards is fine.
Yeah.
I want to play these things. Like they're great.
Right.
Um, it didn't feel clunky. I mean, with anything sealed, like speaking as a Magic player for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're just like, I don't know what this pile is doing. Like what is happening? And I mean, you get a game or two like that once in a while with sorcery, but um, like the movement of the game and the sights
Mm-hmm.
can really kind of get you out of that. Like if you really hone in on where you should place your minions and kind of like in chess, be thinking a couple moves ahead of time, like you can kind
Right.
of get out of that clunkiness through like tactical advantage.
Gotcha.
There were a couple games that I went like turn one village, made a foot soldier, turn two tower, played plume Pegasus to my front sight.
Nice.
And like starting there is real strong.
Right.
And you can kind of use something like that as just a constant threat to keep their attention while you're just kind of like building out or searching for another color if you're short or something like that. So you can kind of use the movement and placement to like kind of get yourself out of the slump or give yourself time to really find whatever
Mm-hmm.
threat or answer you actually need.
Yeah, and for your magics, you have some really good hits here. You have the blink, common sense, fire bolts, lightning bolt, mortality, like we talked earlier, and then grapple
Yeah,
shot, two heat ray, and a minor explosion. You just had you had the gas.
I know a couple of games it felt like I was playing a constructed deck. Like it was it was kind of funny. But what's contrary to that too is that you'll occasionally meet somebody that also opened the craziness. My final game against Holden was what color? I think Holden's deck was definitely air, fire. I don't know if it was also the same three colors or if there was water instead. But anyway, so they'd open a Spear of Destiny, like I said, and they had a Hounds of Onderos. And they also had a Death Dealer.
Dang.
Yeah, like that was a tough
some
game.
good hits.
There was the Spear of Destiny exchange was crazy. I just want to walk through it real quick because it was ridiculous. So there was an apprentice wizard on Holden's back row. Okay. And so the turn he played it, he played the spear to apprentice wizard's hands, threw it and killed one of my minions, where there was another minion on the same site because I like played mine there as a blocker. So that minion picked it up, killed another one of my minions. And then that's when they played a land surveyor and picked up the spear. So then on my turn, I used mortality, killed the land surveyor. I had a Palaberry Bats there, picked it up, threw the spear, killed the Hounds of Onderos, thankfully. And then that was the site that my avatar was on. So I picked it up with my avatar. But
nice.
It was funny because after that exchange, Holden was like, "This card is going in my cube," and I was like, "Yes, it is." Like, yeah, nice. It was a pretty crazy exchange, but yeah, that game was really good, kind of bonkers. But yeah,
did he pull off the Death Dealer or no?
He had it at the end. We went to time, and Holden still had like 6 life left, and I was on death's door, but we went to time. It's just like, I also have this Death Dealer that I didn't get to play. And I was like, what is this madness? Yeah. Nice. Some crazy sealed pools happening that day.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Wow, yeah, no, I'm looking at this list and I don't really have anything to gripe about here. It just seems really good. You pulled really good. I know one thing that can happen with trying to go 3. Did it ever feel like you couldn't find the site?
Yeah, there were a couple times when I had like let's see, did I only play? I think I only played. Yeah, Minor Explosion was the only like double pip card that I ended up playing just to try to make. But I kept it in because it's so good. And there were a couple turns during the event where I didn't have a second desert and had Minor Explosion in my hand. Okay. And ended up not needing it, but I ran into that because this deck was running off of like 5 stick sites maximum. So sometimes I had this awkward like 2 village, 2 tower, 1 desert thing, and I drew Minor Explosion. Gotcha. So yeah, so with 3 color, I would definitely suggest trying to avoid the double threshold requirements whenever possible, but sometimes like the card's just too good. You play that way.
Okay. Was there any other things that you found that were better than you thought in a sealed environment on the list?
I think the one thing I will make a point on that I noticed mostly throughout the day has to do with like these guys.
Yeah, the Raldomadrid and the
the 1 cost 2 power. So I do not think that these are at all turn 1 plays. What these really function well doing are as like curve fillers, I think is how Bruce, one of the guys who went with us, I think that's what he named them, because I was describing like what I was doing with these most of the day. And it usually was like turn 4, play site. If I have a 3-drop I really want to play that, and then one of these also. Gotcha. So they really shined in that regard. Like one game I had a Ral Dromedary that like I think I played a 4-drop on turn 5 and then played this guy like out to the side, and he ended up doing like 6 damage because he was just out here on the side just like an afterthought, and nobody's going to waste like removal or a creature going after those things. But I got to attack with it like 3 times.
Right.
Um, so I think that's really where these things need to be thought of belonging, is more, this is what I also play after my main play for the turn, rather than like trying to power them out turn 1 on your back site and then just run into combat early and die.
Okay. Gotcha. So you're kind of waiting for a good position for them that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of out of the way, so then you can just kind of pound a site while the main battle's kind of happening over there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there was I ended up with like a foot soldier and that thing kind of out in the same area, and they just like were hitting for like 3 turns in a row, and it
Nice.
was really good because all the main action was over in the middle or the other side, and
Right.
they just kind of got to do their thing.
That's yeah. That seems really really good. The let's see here. What is this? Sandworm with I'm assuming it's pretty good considering no one's playing water.
Right.
That it becomes though that landbound doesn't really matter too much in the burrowing for 4
Right.
so you can deal with other root spiders that might be out there as well.
Well, yeah, and this thing actually, many of the games just protected my root spider.
Mm.
Um, there was one exchange that I played a root spider under my like frontmost site,
Mm-hmm.
and they countered with like a cave trolls opposite it, and then
Yep.
I was like sandworm, and so
Nice.
it kept the things above it locked down for many turns because I just had a sandworm there and they couldn't get rid of it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I think they ended up spending like 3 or 4 cards on the sandworm between the things underground and then trying to like maneuver with like some bats of theirs and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. But it was really good to like guard my sandworm underground
Gotcha.
and just when the
Looking.
time came, raise an attack.
Gotcha. The looking over your kind of sideboard or the other cards,
Mm-hmm.
was there anything looking back that you might have wanted to add to this, or did it just feel really good?
It
Kind
felt pretty
of.
good overall.
The only thing I was looking at was the sacred scarabs. You had 2 of them,
Mm-hmm.
which I know it could be good.
Right, I do like the scarabs a lot, just because they're cheap and airborne and the whole like
Mm-hmm.
prospect of blowing up. I just didn't know what else to cut.
Fair.
Um, because there wasn't much that really was like underperforming. I do think
Right.
I could have stood to try and squeeze a couple more minions in. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like I probably could have gone down to 1 summoning sphere and been okay, and then maybe cut the minor explosion just because of the threshold thing, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
and squeeze in like maybe one of the bugs and another minion. It's really funny. Seal. I mean, because sealed, obviously, you play what you get.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the Belmont Longbowman could have been good because
Mm-hmm.
3 mana, 3 power are pretty solid in the range strike. So maybe
So
that's what I would have done. Like one Scarabs, one
right.
Longbowman out for a sphere in the minor explosion.
Yeah, my my friends that I play with, he and me played our final game sealed,
Mm-hmm.
and he won't let this down to this day because of how good it was. He going back to the Belmont Longbowman, I played a Belmont Longbowman. I think it was turn 2 with
Mm-hmm. Fly off a
the
tower.
tower. Yep, the
Yeah.
tower. And then next turn I played another tower, so I went up to 4 resources for that turn, and I blinked forward and drew an overpower off of the the thing, played the overpower. So now I'm doing I tapped
Five
to do
range strike.
5 on his dude, and he's like, oh my gosh. And then he wasn't able to really. He was also playing that Earth, Fire, Air, but he bottomed his Firesight, thinking he would get another one, and he
Right.
didn't. And so it just kind of, after that point, doing 5, and then I think I did another 3 the next turn before he killed it.
Right.
And he's like, I'm so behind already, and the game's barely started. So yeah, it was bad because then I salted the wound later because we played a draft a month later, and I got Belmont Longbowmen in position and had
You're like,
two
here
House
we
Arm
go again.
Bannermans. Yeah, and then I
Nice.
had two House Arm Bannermans that were just beefing him up.
Oh yeah, that's living the dream right there.
Yeah, he was like, "Gosh, dang it, you and the freaking Bowman." I was like, "The funny thing is I don't play them in my constructed decks. I only play them
Right.
against you in draft."
That's funny. But
Yeah.
yeah, with the sights thing, like that's the other thing too, is having to like mulligan aggressively with those
Hmm.
things early to try to make
Indeed.
sure that like you're getting one of each.
Right. I'm trying to see if there were. Did you have any sites that you pulled?
The only side I pulled actually was that planar gate.
Okay, yeah, I was right
Um,
there.
I'm pretty sure that was it. And yeah,
Uh-huh.
I didn't play it because
Gotcha.
with being 3 color, I just didn't want any like non-elemental sites in my
Right.
deck at all.
I was just wondering if there were any others, but that's really interesting. You only pulled one from your deck, from your
Yeah, right.
box.
Like in the 6 packs, there was only one elite site and no exceptionals anywhere. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
kind of
that's
weird.
interesting. Yeah, because that same game I was telling you about, I also got a Vantage Hill for the draft, and I
Yes.
I felt bad for the guy that was in front of me. I didn't choose where we sat or whatever, but
Right.
it was the guy. I think he was newer, and he passed me a Pillar of Zeros, and I was like, sure, I'll take it.
Like, yes,
I
thank you.
never got to play it and get like the healing off of it, but I was just
But
like,
still,
sure.
yeah,
At the time, it was like $20. I was like, $20 is $20. I'm gonna take it.
right. Well, plus, like just having that in there, so you can be like, well, if I need to,
Need
I
it,
can
right?
find it.
Exactly.
Right.
I think healing would be really good in sealed, like having a divine healing
Oh yeah,
or something like that.
yeah, because
Just
you're kind of
because,
even like in more of a race than in the constructed game, right?
hmm
Um, I mean,
well,
granted, sorcerer helps with that, but like
yeah,
you're really trying to race before you run out of resources. So
yeah, and like minions are so pivotal in sealed. Like if you run out of minions and your opponent still has them, it's like, oof. All
like, well,
right, I guess I'm gonna just watch you kill me here.
I can't really beat you up with just my avatar.
Yeah,
Ugh.
I definitely felt like when I played sealed, there was a lot of times where you're getting through half, if not more, of your deck,
Oh
especially
yeah,
if you're
yeah,
playing sorcerer. It's like you see most of your deck.
yeah. And especially starting with a smaller deck size, like
Hmm.
you will see a lot of your cards.
Yeah. So let's see if I can do this real quick. So I will stop sharing there, and while I will switch over to our draft portion of this. Let's see, here we go.
Yeah, it's so funny still feeling the difference between like draft and field.
Yeah,
Like sealed, you're just like, oh, let's see what I'm gonna get.
right.
And then draft, you're always like, what do I pick right now? Like
So
it's
did you see any really crazy stuff come that people were freaking out about when you did the draft portion or even the sealed portion?
um,
Like someone pull a foil core or something crazy.
there weren't any foil cores, but there were 2 aquamarine cores pulled during the sealed,
Nice.
um, which was pretty cool. And like
Yeah.
I said, the Death Dealer was a pretty good hit by holding that.
Hmm.
And I don't know, I don't think there was anything like outrageous. Like there weren't any
Yeah.
crazy foil uniques or anything. But I mean, there was some good pulls.
Yeah.
Um,
The
this one guy had a really great Geomancer deck, and I think
oh,
he had
okay.
like 3 border militia,
Dang.
and a crown prince, and like it was yeah, he was just playing like Geomancer Mortals the deck, and it was his
Gotcha.
sealed pull. It was crazy.
Hmm. Yeah, the draft I did, we the one guy pulled a ruby foil core and then pulled a aquamarine core foil as well. I was like, holy heck.
I
And
know,
then
right?
the and
You're like, where's
then
my deck?
and then the afterwards we like finished it was like giving out the packs for the winners
Mm-hmm.
and another guy pulled a foil onyx core. I was like, geez, this box is loaded.
You're like, could I have just gotten this for
Can I
myself,
buy this
please?
box?
Right? I just pay you $150 for all these cards right now. Like,
Hmm.
that's funny.
So going over to the the draft portion
Hmm.
with us, you have the sorcerer again, and
Yep.
it looks like you just went with the classic Earth Fire.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
So
So
in my opening pack, my first pick was Slumbering Giantess,
nice.
and so from there I was like, well, I'm definitely going to play deserts,
Yeah.
so that I have a chance of waking her up.
Hmm.
Um, and so I was like really just from the start honing in on probably playing Earthfire, maybe a splash of something if things come around that are really good. But
Hmm.
then in my second pick was a Violin, and I was like, yep,
There you go.
just going Earthfire.
Yeah, I'm looking through this. You have a you have a Lancer Bear, which is good. You have two Scorpions, which lethal is always good.
Yep, along
And
with the True Sight crossbow. Like,
yeah, yeah,
yep,
I believe it. The You got two imps, one cave troll, one ogre goons, one outback strider, one
yeah, pretty much
Syrian Templar.
anytime something came around in Fire or Earth that was like
Yeah,
3 power minion, I was like, mine.
I feel
Take
like
it.
Clamor of Harpies might actually be good and
Oh,
sealed.
it was that thing was an MVP for sure
Right.
in this draft. Like I killed several early minions, and the airborne thing, just being able to just like hop diagonally. It was yeah, it was definitely an overperformer for me.
Hmm. Yeah, and I see here you actually pulled off a really good. You got two good sandworms here. You learned from the sealed, and you're like, okay, I'm getting the two sandworms this time.
Yeah, I think
That's awesome.
what the thing I'd like to point out that made me um, honestly the happiest from the sealed pull. I mean, obviously it
Hmm.
performed well. Was assorted animals, like
Okay.
um, because sandworm is a beast,
Oh yeah. Hmm.
as are the scorpions.
Hmm.
Then I also had a beast of burden and a
Hmm.
scent hounds. Um,
Gotcha.
so most of the time, assorted animals was like draw 2 cards. I think there was one game I played it for 6 and actually found 3 of the 2 drops.
Okay.
So like if you can get enough beasts, it's assorted animals is not something you should pass. It was actually really, really good. Even being able to pay 4 mana and go finding a scorpions and a beast of burden was really good.
So I see you got an outlier here in the minions with a Cortana's Titan. Did
Mm-hmm.
that actually play a part in the wins?
Yeah, well, I did see it and got it to the table in the third game.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that I opened that in my third pack. That was my first pick of pack 3.
Nice.
Um, and I think my opponent ended up spending like 5 cards
Dang.
on the Titan. So I
That's
played
good.
it and killed one of his minions that had come to my site. Attacked over and on the next turn and killed one of his minions that had moved and attacked forward previously. And then he played a minion to his site on his next turn, knowing that I was going to swing forward so that he would have a blocker. So I did that. So taking out 3 minions with it, and then on his following turn, he common sensed for Barry to get rid of
Mm,
it finally. So I mean that thing
jeez.
sucked up 5 cards. It was real good.
I'm looking through. You got the Petrugia Cavalry. That's always a good one. Let's see here. Outback Strider might actually be pretty good and sealed
Well, actually,
with
yeah,
all the movement.
yes. A note on that: the Outback Strider actually will clenched one of my first game in the draft. They, so the opponent I was playing had gotten a Drums of Doom on his
Oh.
avatar, and I got him down to death's door, but I couldn't make anything stick. So like I put Outback Strider way on the opposite side of the realm from him, and
Hmm.
then he couldn't deal with it. So then I just moved everything out of the way and attacked literally down an entire row of 5 sites for the death blow.
Nice.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Outback Strider is real good.
Let's see. Ogre Goon's just a 3 for 3. It's always
Hmm.
good.
Yep,
Scent Hounds to, I'm assuming, maybe deal with some kind of stealth that you might see.
yeah, like if anybody has Midnight Rogues, or even Dead of Night Demons, like it's real good. Also, it was just like I said, it's a beast, so I could tutor for it
Right.
with assorted animals.
Hmm.
Um, So having 3 different named like 2 cost beasts was real good, and then being able to fetch sandworm too, like
Yeah.
it just made the assorted animals like really perform.
So I see you got one wildfire in here. That's
Hmm.
I don't think people realize how brutal that card is in draft.
Yeah, that was a death blow on one of my games. Like I moved my sorcerer forward a couple times,
Mm-hmm.
and then drew wildfire when he was a death storm. Was just like play this on you, and that's it.
Nice.
Um, Another game I played, it literally walked around every site that had been played. It was so funny that it was able to make that path. Like
Nice. That's
it
awesome.
covered everywhere before it dispelled, so everything had burned. It was funny.
That's awesome. The True Sight crossbow was you were saying for the scorpions. Did
Hmm.
you pull that combo off?
I never got it on the scorpions. It was so funny. I drafted it. I mean, it's really good. Like
Right.
also another thing that like deals with stealth. Um, Fully thinking it would end up on the scorpion sometime,
Mm-hmm.
but it never made it there. It actually ended up in the hands of my clamor of harpies at some point,
Oh,
which
okay.
which was pretty good. Like I just flew it into position where I was covering many of their sites, and just like twice, I sniped a couple things before they ended
Nice.
up taking care of harpies. So yeah, it was really good.
And then moving on to the magics here, you have the sorted animals, which you said was an MVP in the deck.
Oh yeah, very much so.
And then you said, then after that, you have a pretty good selection here. You have Overpower, just give +2 off of
Mhm.
one resource. It's always good. Common Sense, you got two of those.
Yeah, I drafted 2 of those.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it was
Someone
really
let
good.
those go by. That's
Well,
pretty good.
I think one of them I took pretty early.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, another one I think it was in like pack 2 was it just came around at some point, and I was like, yes, I want another one of these.
Gotcha. And then Dispel, great for removing artifacts or
Hmm.
auras, which is awesome.
Right. Yeah, after seeing
Unravel.
the spear in the sealed portion, I was like, I
Right.
definitely need to keep something around.
Destroy all artifacts and undead minions at location of the two systems. How did the Unravel do?
I never had to play it, but it
Okay.
was definitely just in there as a common sense package piece.
Mm-hmm.
Like being able to tutor that up if I needed to was more why I kept one in there. Because like I think is Dapper Vampires undead, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Being so, I mean, like there are a few random things that are undead
Uh huh.
that you really just don't want on the
Right.
board. So it was
Yeah,
just in there just in case.
and then I can't believe you got both of these. You have Disintegrate as well as Poison Nova.
Hmm.
Those are two really big hits.
Really good, really good removal spells.
I'm
Um,
wondering what the guy took before you that didn't warrant him from grabbing one of these two.
well, I think the person to my right was the person that ended up playing Mono Water.
Okay.
Um, I later learned that their opening pack was a Lord of Unland, so they were just like,
Oh, okay.
let's go water. Which I mean, I understand. Like I would probably do that too if I saw a Lord as my first pick. Like,
Yeah.
so I think that came around. Maybe I think it was in pack. It might have been in pack 3, but
Gotcha.
yeah, but yeah. I
And then
mean, I
Cone of
ended up
Flame
with
is really good
and
too.
yeah, Cone of Flame. Luckily, I never had to play it to use it to like kill minions. This was like my finisher 2 different times.
Okay.
Just because you're pretty much gonna hit the other avatar with it almost wherever they are.
Right. And then moving on to the sites real quick. Do you let's see here. Let's go to the sideboard real quick. You didn't get you didn't decide to grab any sites at all. Just went with
No,
the
actually,
vanilla sites.
well, what's really funny is in my first pack, there was a color out of space,
Oh, okay.
and I was like, I already own a couple of these, and there's a slumbering giantess, so
Going for the win over
yeah,
the bling. Gotcha.
yeah. Well, I mean, the prize pool were alpha packs, so I was like, I
Yeah.
need to just I need to play to build my deck. That's what I need to do. Um,
Nice.
so yeah, there weren't any other sites that came around um, that I really needed to grab.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, in the limited environment, like I'm fine just playing villages because it just makes more bodies,
Yeah.
and then your deserts are removal. Like a turn in I think the finals game where I took out 2 1 power minions with a single desert.
Oh,
Like
nice.
it's just where I want to be, and I ended up playing them evenly 6 and 6 just because of the spread of all my different pips between earth and fire. So it worked out really well.
Yeah, one of my favorite things is when someone fumbles and accidentally like puts their sacred scarabs like close to one of my sites, and then
Right.
I air a desert, and then all right, I'm gonna blow up that, and then everything that's below it that you thought was safe because it's
Right.
more
Yeah.
than one
Whenever they
power.
fight with other things, oh man.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
It definitely is.
Let's see here. Yeah, it doesn't look like you have like a ton in the that sideboard there that really would have upped your game too much, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You
Like
it looks
I
like you
took.
played pretty close to the chest there.
Oh, very much so. Like I mean, any of the air water stuff is just things that were passed at the end, or they
Right.
were like that's all that was in the pack. So I took a couple things. Like I'm pretty sure I drafted the fade just
Mm-hmm.
because I was like, well, I don't really want to see this.
Yeah,
So
fair.
well, I think I did that. Yeah, the one tufted turtles. I was like, I don't want anything from this pack, so I'll just take tufted turtles, so I don't have to deal with another one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but everything else was just like the Call of War. I did draft. It wasn't. I didn't draft it over something, but I took it just in case I ended up with any. Like if I had gotten a House Arn Bannerman or something like that down
Mm-hmm.
the line, like being able to tutor that guy up
That would have been good.
is what I was going for.
Gotcha.
So yeah, the rest of the things were just mostly things that I picked just because I was in those colors, and I was like, sure, maybe just in case I don't get more minions down the road. But I ended up getting more than enough of the really good ones, so it just kind of ended up being my extras pile.
Nice. Well, clearly it worked out. You won the tournament. What did you win for? Yeah, if you don't mind me asking.
Well, yeah. So the way that Pete had the prizing laid out for all this is so they had Saturday constructed. There was
Mm-hmm.
one championship prize for that. And then the Sunday limited stuff, and then they did like an overall champion.
Mm-hmm.
And the first place for all of those were 13 alpha packs.
Nice.
And then he gave out the champion cards to the event winners, and then he had a trophy made up for the overall winner. But so here's the champion
Nice.
promo that he stamped with the
Midland
Midland
Army.
Mayhem
Yeah, nice.
stamp that he made. It's pretty cool.
That's cool. That
Yeah.
is
So
awesome.
at some point, I'm gonna get the frames that hold like trading card size
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Yeah.
Probably get like a 3 or 4 slot one to like hold some of my
Nice.
promos and stuff. And include that in there. So
You said you ripped 13 packs of alpha. Did you get anything crazy in it?
well, so I ended up letting one of my buddies that went with us, Brandon, who was the overall champion. He
Mm-hmm.
actually opened them.
Okay.
But in those 13 packs, there was a Ruby Core,
Nice.
a Foil Gigantism.
Awesome.
I think there was a Highland Princess in there too. Let
Jeez.
me just double check the Discord message real quick because he sent me a picture of the ones. Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Ruby Core. Okay, the Highland Princess were in a different group of packs, but yeah, Ruby
Gotcha.
Core, Lord of the Void, Death Speaker, Foil Gigantism. So yeah, they overall like the three of us that went from Columbus ended up being the
Mm-hmm.
three overall winners, which was pretty cool.
That is
Um,
awesome.
right, so we ended up walking away with like a whole alpha box, and it ended up being a really good box. I mean, there wasn't any like curio or like full avatar or anything like that, but there were definitely good pulls in there. So
Cool.
it was a pretty sweet box overall.
Yeah, I interviewed Bruce right before this, and
Oh, nice.
his Earth deck is something for
Oh man,
sure.
he's been playing that Avatar of Earth deck religiously. I mean, he like top forward the league with it this past time.
Nice.
Like
Yeah. He
he's
said that
really good.
he said that he did he's been playing it for 4 months, which is
Yeah.
a long time for sorcery.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's awesome. So, if you don't mind, we're gonna kind of go to the last part of the interview where we kind of do
Yeah,
some rapid
absolutely.
fire questions and kind of discuss more of I don't know, the fun side of sorcery, if you want to call it that,
Oh
or
yeah.
just kind of chit chat about our favorite hobby, right? So
Oh yeah,
let's see
absolutely.
here. How'd you learn about sorcery to begin with?
I forget where I heard about it initially, but I heard about
Okay.
it before the Kickstarter
Okay.
before the Kickstarter launched. Um, and so I was definitely, it was like on my radar.
Mm-hmm.
And then when like Team Covenant started like really talking about it, right before it was launching, I was like, okay, I got to get in on this. Um, and it's funny because I had not long before that started like getting rid of my Flesh and Blood stuff because I just wasn't really interested in playing Flesh and Blood anymore.
Gotcha.
And so yeah, everything that I had raised from selling that like went into the Kickstarter.
There you go.
Um,
Yeah.
and then from that, I have definitely introduced a number of people like in the local group. We have,
Mm-hmm.
I think, somewhere between 8 and 10 people that
That's
like
awesome.
have learned how to play and are interested. And then we normally have like 4 to 6 regularly that like show up on
Nice.
Thursday nights at our LGS just to play.
Cool. Yeah, I was the dummy of the situation. I I had been following Team Covenant since like way long ago, like back in like 2012 when they were reviewing like Star Wars LCG products because I was a
Right.
huge Star Wars LCG fan.
Nice.
So that's how I learned about them. And they kind of fell off my radar. And then I learned about Flesh and Blood, got on Flesh and Blood, and at that point, when I heard about Sorcerer, I was like, nah, I'm a Flesh and Blood player. I don't need
Right.
another
I don't need
game.
another one of these. Yeah.
Yeah. And then some stuff happened with my local scene with Flesh and Blood where we had some bad actors. So I kind of didn't want to play anymore on top of that. And then one of the guys that kind of founded the group, and I really kind of respected him and stuff, he was like, these guys are kind of making it so I don't want to play anymore. So I'm out. I'm done. And then it was kind of like 2 weeks later, I was actually at a pre-release for Flesh and Blood. I think it was Heavy Hitters,
Okay.
and they were one of the guys I was playing with. I was like, hey, so he had told me a little bit about sorcery before, but then I was like, okay, I'm thinking about getting out of Flesh and Blood. What's this? What's this all
You're
sorcery
like,
thing? Like,
all
I
right,
heard
sell
about
me
it.
on it. Sell me
I
on
heard, yeah, I heard about it from. I heard a little bit of rumblings with Team Covenant. I didn't really watch those videos because they weren't Flesh and Blood. But what's up? And he's like, oh, dude, this game's amazing. Like, you should definitely try it out. And I was like, okay. So me and my wife actually went and played our first game at like a get to like a learn to play event.
Yeah, like yeah.
Yeah, and so we played the two beta precons. I played the Flame Caller, and she played what is it called, Wave Shaper, because she
Hmm.
was like a huge water fan, and so I played that game, and I was like, dude, there's something here. This is fun, and I
Yep.
was about to have a baby, so it was one of those things where I was like, I can't really spend like money like three or
Right.
four times a year on a new set.
Yep.
So when my friend also told me, he's like, "Hey, it's one set a year. You just collect it over a year." I was like, "Okay, I'm sold." So I got
Like,
the
oh,
betas.
yeah.
Yeah, I got the betas. I got the battlefield playmat or whatever it was, and we just started jamming. And uh, my wife plays with me like all the time, so it's funny because we didn't start being some of the best players locally, but because she and me play so often
Right. You
at
just get
home,
so many
we
games.
get so many more reps than our local guys because they only show up on Friday and play. Where we're like, I want to try this new thing. Pull out that deck. I want to try and play
Right. So,
against
so
it
we
and
have
see
half
what's
an
going.
hour. Okay, let's jam a game.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So like our coffee table just has the playmat constantly on it with like a deck or two. So it's huge, and it's super fun. And I think my favorite aspect is like just the board and like the ability to move and
Oh
track things. Because I came from like Warhammer as well, and like a couple other like kind of strategy games like miniatures. And so it was kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, it's kind of combining the two
yeah. Right.
aspects I
Yeah.
like into a card game. So
Yeah. When
I
you
was
get
like, this is
the
fun.
movement aspect of war games, or
Hmm.
even if for like chess players out there,
Yeah.
like being able to traverse this grid. It really adds a whole nother layer of things.
Yeah, and I love how it's like you have this like bottom layer with like the submerge and
I like
burrow.
upper region stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like the I always call it like the 1.5 region, called it like the airborne region, because I'm like,
Right.
well, it's kind of like a 1.5 region because I can still burrow your thing because it's technically on top of the site,
Right.
but when it matters for
But
you
you can't
like
attack it
attacking, yeah,
because it's up
exactly.
in there. And
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So it's I was like it's kind of a 1.5 region. And then I love like the void. Like I wish that like there was like a I've tried building it, but I just haven't found like a good mix yet for it of like just doing void, like just straight void
Yeah,
walk
just like a
things that
straight
just
void
come
walk.
out of the void and just attack you and then leave again. It just seems like there's something there
I know, right?
eventually.
Yeah, evil presence became real good when they changed it. I found that out
Yeah.
firsthand at the Courtesan Cup qualifier.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, yeah, I like the spirits a lot. It's really fun and thematic.
Yeah. Um, moving on to another question. What's your I know you got a lot of artwork and it might be hard, but like what's your like top three if you can do it? Top three artists in sorcery currently?
Top three artists in sorcery.
Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah, I don't know if I can narrow it down because so many things are so good. Like you said, um, I mean, being a long-term Magic player, I started playing Magic like 95, 96.
Gotcha.
Um, it was like right around like the Ice Age Alliances time.
Hmm.
So like the fact that all of these artists that have been around in that world for a long time, like back in the old school Magic days, that are doing. I mean, like I can't express how awesome it was that like Jeff Mangus was there and like
Yeah.
the Rubble playmats were so
Yeah.
good. He
Uh,
doodled Godzilla on mine. It's hilarious.
Oh, nice. I didn't even notice that. That is sick.
Yeah, man, it was pretty sweet. Um, and yeah, so like and like having being able to like interact with him like on a personal level at that event, and then
Hmm.
talking to like Ed Beard at the Ohio Renaissance Fair was really so like it's hard for me not to pick them because of like I've
You've
interacted with
seen them
them,
and talked to them,
yeah,
right?
like person to person. Um, although I do love a lot of oh, hold on, I don't want to say it incorrectly. I would feel terrible.
Is it the boss troll art?
No, no, it's shoot. Where did they go? Um, both Elvira and Elvira's stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, Elvira. I apologize if I pronounce it terribly.
It's all good.
Palakowska, right?
Hmm.
I think that's how. And then
Elvira Shakaruva.
yes, because like so like Elvira's like architecture stuff, like on Dispel and
Yeah.
Disenchant,
It's
like
awesome.
that stuff just is so. I regret not getting the coloring book that she had put out a while ago. I think she only has like a couple copies left, like on one of her stores.
Oh, dang.
I believe she did like a crowdfunding. It was like just a coloring book with like a lot of her drawings black and white, and it was like even in black and white, all of it looked so good.
Yeah.
Um, so like that, and then I really like both like Andrea Modesti
Hmm.
and was it Vincent Pompetti? Like their a lot of the like mortal stuff that they've drawn.
Yeah.
Not just like the style and the color is very like it feels like I don't know how to. It's like surreal realism to me.
Hmm.
Like it's because like the way that the tones and kind of like the brushstrokes that they use. So like you can, like it feels like a person, but like not. I don't know how to describe it
Yeah.
better than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like a lot of their musical stuff. Is pretty sweet.
Yeah. I I'm a guy that like I don't really care for like the foils of like games usually.
Yeah, I
But I
trade my
really
photos away.
yeah, but I really did like looking like when I did own them, like looking at the back and seeing like the full art of it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the like my whole thing, like my I guess like collector's goal is to just get as many signatures of cards signed as possible. Like
Yeah.
I
Here, I'll share
love
these.
I
I'll share
love
these real
getting
quick.
cards signed. It's
I
so amazing.
I had Jeff. Man, I'm terrible. The glare here.
Nice.
So I had him sign the 4 sites that he's done.
Yeah.
With his like shadow signature that he does.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah. The Aqueduct, Watchtower, Bandage Hills, and Rubble.
Nice.
So yeah, those 4 are going to end up in a frame at some point too down the
That's
road.
awesome.
We'll see.
Yeah, no, I'm the guy that's like I don't need to flex with foils and stuff. I
Right,
just
you're
flex
so
with
I
all
want to
my
see
like
the artist.
signed cards.
I need to find the
Yeah.
artist.
Yeah, I talked to Brian Smith over like I wish I could have talked to him in like person.
Mhm.
But just where I live and how it is right now, like
Yeah,
I just was like I messaged him on Instagram. I was like, "Hey, like is there a way I can just send you some cards,
right.
get those signed?" And he's
Please,
like,
please sign them
"Yeah."
for me.
He's like, "Yeah, just send them down, just pay for it and I'm good with it." I was like, "Okay, sounds good." So like I have my color out of space. I have
Nice.
the
Looking for
Not
one.
Death Speaker, Death Dealer that
Hmm.
he did signed, and then I have my Whirling Blade signed there too. So
Yeah, Whirling
it's
Blades is really cool.
yeah, I huge fan of his work as well. Let's see here. Excuse me. What's your favorite element to play? If you had to choose
Uh,
one.
I've got to go with Earth. Um, so I've played the Earth Fire Aggro Sorcerer deck like a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And then I really do enjoy the Geomancer Roots deck that has been popping
Mm-hmm.
up.
Yep.
Like that's what I played this past Saturday.
Oh, nice.
Mhm. I got stomped a couple times, unfortunately. I just went like 2-2, like in the
Yeah.
constructed on
Okay.
Saturday. But yeah, I was playing the Geomancer. Yeah, I
Nice.
don't know, just the consistent. Well, so both the going wide and able to go tall. Like
Mm-hmm.
I am definitely like a tokens player when it comes to Commander for Magic. So I'm just like, give me the border militias everywhere.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I
Nice.
think it's got to be Earth. Um, though the tone of Water is a very close second.
Nice.
Like I will happily play like a tempo Water deck
Mm-hmm.
whenever we get enough cards to like really make that hum.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite casual deck I've had together for a bit was an Earth Water Geomancer deck
Mm.
that was just trying to ramp hard into like Mountain Giant and Great Old One and stuff like that.
Nice.
Black Obelisk is really good.
Oh,
just
okay.
just so you know.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So yeah, definitely Earth, and then follow closely by Water.
Yeah, I was. I usually ask this question, but I don't know if it's like a good one at this point. But like cards, like I've been really thinking about Arthurian legends and what kind of support we could get for like the
Hmm.
mortal themed stuff. And I was like, what if we had like a shifting sands, but for the
For
villages,
villages.
so you could like pay again for
please,
villages.
please make it happen.
I was like, that would be cool. Or just do like a unique where it's like you automatically like put a foot soldier down on every site you own.
I mean, yeah, like an extreme border militia as a site,
Yeah, yeah. Or just even a card, just
Midland
play it.
Garrison or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
yeah. Like I'm a
yeah, I
huge
would
fan of
totally
like,
be all about that.
yeah. I've been a huge like my first deck that I built was just like, oh, dude, these mortals seem super cool. Like I'm just gonna
Right.
play a mortals deck. It was like all Earth mortals deck, and maybe I'll revisit it now that I'm kind of more knowledgeable about the game. But I did pretty well with it for a little bit, but it was just one of those things where like I was like, ah. Oh, I really like Sorcerer, and I think it's more of a Geomancer deck, truthfully, because you kind of want to get to that Midland army, Queen of Midland, King of the
Oh yeah,
Realm.
yeah. That after the event on Saturday, I turned my Geomancer deck back into like the Earth Royals
Yeah,
build. Yeah. I'm also really excited to see all the different knights
yeah,
for Arthurian Legends. Hopefully, they keep them as mortals. But the
hmm
fact that the round table, the way that card is, like, I just want to play the round table and then
yeah.
play a mortal, draw a card, play a mortal, draw a card, play Ruler of Thule. Now attack you all from behind.
Yeah.
Like,
one of my other speculations is like the Holy Grail as a
Hmm.
card. Like, what would it do? And I'm like, it has to get you back from Death's Door, doesn't it? Like, it's a
I
one-time use
mean, I would,
artifact, just gets you back from Death's Door, and then you just pop the Divine Healing. All of a sudden, you're at 7,
right?
and it's
Even if
like,
it puts you like at
ooh,
one life or something, like it's totally
yeah,
fine. And
just
I'm
something
pretty
that's
sure, like,
crazy like that.
I think they already have art for that by Tony.
Sudlow,
Yeah, like I
yeah,
think we've seen that art
yeah.
before.
Mm-hmm.
It's so
Dude, one guy that I interviewed was like, dude, if they don't have the Holy Hand Grenade, I'm rioting.
yep. 1, 2, 5.
Yeah.
Like
Let's see here. What? Let's see. What is your favorite 3 cards in the game right now? Like it could be mechanics wise, art wise, just your favorite 3 cards that you're like, man, these are my pet cards, or I try to throw these in. I could throw these in any deck or whatever it is.
um well the first one I know for a fact, when I was in West Virginia for the Courtesan Cup, like I was talking to Dave Rudisaurus,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and he was kind of like doing his little interviews thing, and that was one of his questions, and my answer instantly was flanking maneuver.
Flanking
um,
maneuver.
I
Okay.
love that card because it references a chess move. Like the way that they worded it is
Mm-hmm.
awesome, and then it also is just really good. Like Brandon, who was the overall champion, he runs a couple of those in his Pathfinder deck.
Okay.
This is ridiculous. Like between that and the blinks, he's just Pathfinder moves a lot already, but
Mm-hmm.
he's just literally everywhere and like
Yeah.
dropping sites where you don't expect, and then the fact that it draws you a card. Yeah, that
Nice.
flanking maneuver is fantastic. I try to
Yeah.
put it in every deck I have with air. Um, I think Raytana's Titan is probably a close second. Um, it's just it's a giant creature, hard
Mm-hmm.
to deal with, kills like anything when you play it
Right.
down. It's ridiculous with the summonings here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we've all experienced Death Speakers doing that to us, right? It's just like, okay, I'll take 6. Okay. Um, and then third, that would be really hard. Um, there are so many cards that I want to play.
Mm-hmm.
Just they may not be great, but I just
Yeah.
want to throw them in decks because they look awesome, or the effect is funny,
Yeah.
or they're just aesthetically pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I don't think I could pick a third one specifically
Yeah.
unless I
My
like sat down and was like, okay, let's
right.
find one. Like,
Yeah, one of my favorite like pet cards. If I play Battle Mage, it's always in my Battle Mage deck. Is Cerberus because it's also a really good card, but it's also
the
just like
fastest boy.
yeah, it's
Yes.
just like you're like because he moves wherever you move, he actually
Right.
becomes very good because you could just tap your Battle Mage for 3 and then tap Cerberus for 5,
Yeah,
and
that
you're like, ooh, all right, I have to get rid of this Cerberus now.
right. You're like, great. Now I have to deal with another
hmm
thing and not
I've
be attacked by battle
I've
mage.
thought about doing like Raised Dead just to like only have the Cerberus in the deck as the target for that, and then just race dead it. So if you do kill it, he's
Yeah,
back.
I mean, with battle mage, you can totally get away with that.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. What is your what is your favorite experience you've had so far with sorcery? Like it could be a moment in a game, or just the community, or something. Yeah, you pulled a specific card and you just fell in love with it immediately, or something.
Um, I mean, there's been lots of little like gameplay moments, right? Like there's
Mm-hmm.
so many good ones. And when Floating Skull put out the like multiplayer variant
Mm-hmm.
stuff, I definitely like had one of those multiplayer mats made at Inked Gaming, and so like we've played a few multiplayer games, and they get insane. Um, but I think the best part actually has just been watching like the interest grow in like our local scene,
mm-hmm.
um, and like all the people that I've like introduced this game to have just been like very grateful for the fact that I did, because they have like loved it instantly.
Yeah, it's so
And it
good.
has been so like refreshing to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like a few of the people have just been kind of burned out on Magic. I mean, we've all heard this story before. Like
Right.
too much going on. What's the game doing anymore? Yeah.
Right.
So
Hmm.
like a lot of them are just enjoying this like refreshing experience, and then many more of them just love the way the game plays. And so
Yeah.
like even though our group's really small, the fact that like we've had this consistent group emerge when it was like
Hmm.
it was just me that did the Kickstarter, and I've just kind of like been able to bring people in, and we love it, and they're all thankful that I did. And so it's been really nice to have that like on a very like base
Right.
level here in town.
Yeah. I, I honestly wish I had gotten in at the alpha like alpha level. Right. Everyone does at this point that plays this game that is now just like beta veterans. Like I think that it's I don't like I don't want them to put out like I think that it's interesting that they might be doing this like mini set with like the Dragon
Hmm.
Lords or whatever, right? And I hope that they just do that, right? They have like this mini set in between to help us out, like
Same. Yep.
get product
That's
out.
all that I want to.
But like I don't want it to become 3 sets a year. I think that what they're doing is fantastic by letting us have time
Hmm.
because it's not like it's still evolving. Like we've been playing with these same cards for a year ish at this
Yeah.
point, and there's new decks coming out. There's new like ways that people are thinking about the cards because this person's doing this thing now, so I need to counter this, and now there's this weird thing that all of a sudden works that we just
Right.
didn't think it would work before. And I'm hoping that someday someone's like, I've cracked it. I've cracked it. I figured out water,
We have the
and
thing.
everyone praise me. I have figured out how to make water good.
Right. I mean,
Because like
I definitely
water's
have.
good, like water's good in like casual sense, but I don't I have not seen someone just be like, all right, I'm gonna own this tournament with this water deck.
Right. Yeah. And I still have plenty of, because I mean, I have a deck together for like each avatar, and there's
Mm-hmm.
plenty of those decks I have not played either at all or more than like one time. And so, yeah, there's like, even at one set a year, like, there's more than enough
Yeah.
to explore and like really kind of just get a feel and like do the honing process where you like make
Mm-hmm.
a few changes, and it's like, hey, I don't like that direction. Let's just do something goofy. I'll throw a doomsday device in it this time. Let's see what happens.
Dude, I've thought about doing a doomsday device and just bomb rushing it with like foot soldiers, like just slowly getting it there or something.
I love getting that thing to like cloud spirit, because it doesn't like it can just go literally anywhere. You just fly
Yeah.
away from everybody until it's time, and then you like special deliver it right to them.
Yeah,
Like,
there you go. Yeah, there's just so many cool things about this game, and just like the thing that like yeah, and you kind of maybe know this from Flesh and Blood, is I was really getting frustrated with like this is how you do it, and if you
hmm,
don't do it this way, you're doing it wrong. And like people
right?
would literally tell you that. They're like, why do you have this in your deck? Like clearly it's this way. And at least locally for me, it was kind of that way. It was like super competitive. You
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
do
That's
anything
that's kind of
else.
what it
And
boiled down to. Yeah.
yeah, and I enjoy that like when I got into this game, like I was like, okay, am I gonna do a complete set? I don't know if I will. I did end up doing it, but the not wanting to like I was like, okay, do I really need this core? Do I really need this thing? Do I need like those like higher end cards? I was like, do I really need these right now to play this game? When it came to Flesh and Blood, it was like, if you don't have Masculine Momentum and you're playing Ninja, like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, I got
Like, you
tired of
need to
losing
get that
because I
card.
didn't have the equipment. Yeah.
Hmm. So I just didn't like that. Like, your it didn't come down to like your necessary skill level. It did to a degree, right?
Yeah.
You need to know the lines and you need to do stuff. Like it's not just like you you like mindlessly do this like but I enjoyed that like the legendary cards of this set
Oh, yeah, the
are
uniques.
yeah,
It's
is one is like one and you only need one. I like it was such a relief to my bank account and to me that like that it was okay, like I only need one Philosopher's Stone. I can only have one Philosopher's Stone in my deck. So those cards that are worth a ton, I don't have to go get 3 or 4 copies of the same thing,
yeah,
right?
it's
I
so
can. It's it's just like, oh, I it's like if I only needed one command and conquer or something, right? It's just super
God, I
nice
remember
having
trying
the
to hunt those things down. Oh,
yeah. It's just super nice being able to just okay, the rarity system is the best thing in my opinion of this game. It's like it makes it so okay, well, like you might have a philosopher's stone, and I don't have a philosopher's stone. I haven't dropped that money on it yet, but you have to pull it, right?
right.
It doesn't matter that you have it until you pull it. The minute you pull it, okay, man, I really wish I had one to also like be able to play at that level. But if you don't see it in that game, and like we've all played, we all have like if we all like if we've played Philosopher's Stone in our decks, it's like there's plenty of games you don't see that card.
Yeah.
But yet you have to just figure out how to play without it. It's like it's not core to it. It's just kind of like a way to turn the game in some ways, right? Those like those unique cards, in my opinion, are your tempo shifters. If
Hmm.
you find one, it's like, all right, here's this bomb. We've just changed the game. All right, let's see what happens now, kind of thing. And I really like that. That's the mentality of it. Instead of being like, here's the armor, here's everything I have,
Right.
and
You
then let's beat up.
need
Yeah,
these, right?
yeah, and then let's beat up on each other, and then what whoever is standing at the end wins. It's just
Right.
like it seems like very more strategic. Like it's funny. I actually came from Flesh and Blood, like, and I think I did fairly well for being what I was. And honestly, it was like I had to change my whole mindset of how to play games. I was like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
had to be very more, a lot more thought went into what I had to do each turn with sorcery. Being like,
Hmm.
okay, I have to deal with this threat that's over here, but I also have to like move my game plan along at the same time, right? So it's like, how do I get rid of this thing, but also like be able to attack him for like maybe three or two or whatever? Like, I still have to be pushing damage while having to deal with these threats as well. So I just like that there's like that interplay, like that your opponent's like, okay, it's your turn, you have to figure out what you're doing, and then it's my turn. Okay, I have to answer the I have to answer the questions you just presented to me, and I really like that interplay.
Hmm. And I kind of going off of that point a little further,
Mm,
I really enjoy that you're doing stuff on your turn and then I'm doing stuff on my turn. And like the only thing that you may be responding with is like blocking.
mm,
Um, I definitely do not want to see any kind of like
counter spells.
counter magic or
Yeah.
like quick. Like I'm okay with them keeping the quick magic like out of this game. Um, I've played Ashes for a long time,
Okay.
and it's always been like a you take your two actions, I take my two actions, that back and forth, and nothing
Mm-hmm.
like. I mean, there's some things that you can play like if something happens specifically that will trigger it, but that's not the basis of the game. And the whole
Yeah.
like move counter move thing is really where I think this game should stay and
I
where
agree.
I've come to very much appreciate games designed more with that in mind rather than a everybody do everything all at once.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's
I'm
just
going to counter your thing, and then you're going to counter my thing, and then I'm going to
stack,
counter
stack,
that
stack,
thing.
stack,
Yeah.
stack. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I would rather it stay there. Like I do, I like the thematicness of dodge roll. Like I think that's an awesome card and for what it
yes,
is.
I
But
agree.
I think if they can do stuff like that, where it's like you're setting down a trap, so it's like if you decide to come here, then this trap triggers or whatever, right?
Hmm.
But like things like that, or like a dodge roll effect or something like that, I don't have a problem with. It's when like I've seen them in like their pre like alpha like
Hmm. Yeah,
test
like
stuff
the
where it's
test
like
cards and stuff like that.
unique counter, elite counter, and I'm like, I don't want to see that. Honestly, I really don't, because it's
I
like
don't
I would
either.
rather be able to play my thing and you be able to play your thing, and we just kind of figure out like how to defend and how to attack each other.
Hmm.
I think that's way
Absolutely.
better interplay than this whole oh I don't know, like maybe I'll counter this, and then because I countered this, I can then put like I can do two damage to you on my turn or what on your turn. I think something that might be interesting is like things that maybe if you move to a specific site two steps away, this gets to shoot a volley of fire or something,
Right, like you said,
right?
kind of like a trap or something like that.
Something where it's like okay, it doesn't like it still happens if you do it, but like it's not that I'm strictly like, oh, okay, here's a counter spell.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think I can get behind that too.
Yeah. Thank you again for the interview, dude. I have one more of you guys to interview, and it's Brandon. It's Brandon, right? That's his name.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I'm.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been talking to all three of you.
I
Like
know, right? Like coordinating it.
you'll text
Yeah.
me, and then the other guy, and then like Bruce is texting me, and then Brandon texts me, and I'm like, Bruce, Brandon, Chris. Wait, is that Chris?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but it's fun. It's all good, and I hope that you enjoyed coming on and talking about the sealed and draft decks that you played and piloted. I think they
Hey man,
was
I was
awesome.
thrilled when you reached out to me the other day. I was like, yeah, I will happily talk about this game more. Like,
I'm glad you liked the game, and I'm glad that we could talk. So I'll talk to you later. I'm always up to talking in the Discord and jamming
yeah,
some games if you ever want to. So,
same here,
but
man.
I'll
Thanks
see you
again.
on the. Yeah, I'll see you later.
Yep, take it easy.